Watching the sequence of sounds coming out of your mouth, but the snow is too loud.
Alright guys, so I'm back with another tutorial. This time it is more into the shading of the eye. So if you watched my tutorial last week, you'll know that this is the same eye, although it may not look like it. And we're just going to go over the shading really. So I've put down the base layer, haven't put on the eyelashes first because I like to do that last. So the first thing you need to consider is where the actual light source is coming from. So in this image it's coming from close enough to the left, to our left, and there is a bit of height in it but not much. So I'm just drawing in points where it's lightest. This is just a guideline so that I don't go over them. And of course there's always a bit of a reflection on the moisture over, at this point, the tear duct or whatever it is. So this is all outlines. Don't go straightly by this, but don't just ignore them completely. Alright, so I am going to time-lapse colouring the iris because it's not really got much need to explain it. So I will speak to you again in a second.
It's too loud. Follow the hands as they move. Try to make out your mood, but my brain doesn't want to.
Alright guys, now I am going to be doing the outer part of the iris, I think. Sorry if it's wrong. With this you tend to see a small blend between the middle part. My terminology is all wrong. And the outer part. With this blend it's usually darker than the actual central area, and then it tends to get a bit darker again on the outside section. So I am going to go back into time-lapse again, and I'll speak to you again once I've done this section.
Ooh, the door, silent call for you. What have I done to you? Kill and run, kill and run. I'm one of the dirty guns. Kill and run, kill and run. A bullet through your.
Alright guys, so I am back. I have finished the iris now. For most of it I used a 2B pencil, but just for the darker sections I went back in a HB pencil just to make certain sections stand out more than others. So I'm just going to go with the tear duct now. This is a lot lighter, so you just want to go over this really quickly. If you make it too dark, don't worry, you can rub it out mostly. If you have a dirtyish rubber, then you can still keep some of the toning. So I will time lapse this and be back when I'm done.
Interpret the eyes as they die.
Alright guys, so this hasn't taken too long. I originally started with a 2B pencil, but then recognised that it was getting too dark too quickly, so I swapped to a H pencil. I don't know if you can see that, but yeah. The very light parts, it doesn't make much difference because I'm going to go over them at the end of the drawing, just with white paint, just to make them stand out more, so don't worry about those. And I think I'm just about done with there, so I'm going to go on to the rest of the eye and then add the eyelashes afterwards. I like to add the eyelashes last because it just distracts me if they're there the entire time and ruins the shading for everything else. So with this next section you need to remember that although it's not white, it's not exceedingly dark either, so you need to be cautious and keep that in mind. Don't overdo it with the actual veins in there. It helps if you do have a photo reference. I mean, you need to really rely on it for this section, so just to speed it up, I'm gonna go into time-lapse yet again. Sorry if you're not looking for a time-lapse video, but there's just so much to do in it and so little time. So I will speak to you when I have finished that, and I'm just about to go into the eyelashes.
Should I cry? Should I love? Your poor lashes blow. Victim.
Alright, so I am just about finished with that. Not wanting to fully just go into it, I was using a H pencil again just because it's harder and you can't get as much pencil to come on the paper with it. I was having a bit of a problem with the graining. It's quite grainy paper I have, so you could see it, so I just went over with a blending stump, which you can find out more about in the how to draw with charcoal pencils tutorial, so I'll not talk about that anymore. So now with the eyelashes, there's this layer of skin just underneath the actual eye. The eyelashes don't actually grow there, they grow underneath it, so it's close but not actually there. So you just want to keep that in mind. Again, photo reference is helpful. So simply just get the basic outline of most of them and then go over them again with a sharper pencil that is a softer lead, so I'd recommend just going over them in a HD pencil. Alright, so this is probably the most boring bit, so I am going to time-lapse yet again. If you don't like the time-lapse, tell me and I'll do things without any time-lapse whatsoever. It'll take much longer, it's just I probably won't talk through all of it because I can't really talk and draw at the same time, which is what I'm learning with this. So I will time-lapse it for close to the final time, so I will speak to you when I have done this section.
sensory loss. You cry out when a boy, an innocent call.
Alright, so now I'm basically done with the eyelashes. There isn't much else to do. Apart from do the background area, which I intend to do in time lapse because it isn't actually part of the eye. Well, although I haven't actually done any that isn't in time lapse for the eye, which I'm really sorry for. I just need to get used to talking and drawing at the same time, so it's just a bit difficult for me at the moment. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the background. With the eyelashes I used a H pencil to get the majority of the actual eyelashes that were on the photo reference, but then I went off and did the best I could with the HB pencil. It was getting a bit thick at the end, which I was a bit annoyed about. So you just need to make sure it's well sharpened, because if not then it'll look like a bit of a mess, to be fair. Also, there was just a tiny bit of shadow underneath the actual eyelashes on the upper section. As you can see with these, they don't actually touch the eyelid beneath at all, so just watch out for that. Some of them do, depending on the actual eye, and it's very different for women's eyes, so if you want to see that, then look out for the actual women's eye tutorial, which I'll do, which should hopefully help if you're having difficulty adapting this. So I will speak to you after I have done the background, which will be around this section. I'm not doing the entire page. And then I'm going to go into the actual painting section, so I will speak to you in a second after I've completed the background.
Silent call for you. What have I done to you?
I'm back for the final time, and here comes the experimental part of it. I haven't really done anything like this. I've seen results of when people just put the highlights in on other things just with a bit of white paint. I'm using acrylic paint. That's as little as I'm using. I'm probably going to chuck most of that away afterwards anyway. So just for these little sections that require that little glint. So this might go completely wrong, I don't know, but we will have to see. So just probably gonna let this shade most of that. Just these sections there, with the bit of water there, I'm just going to put a bit of gleam, and then several places on the actual tear duct, and then I should be finished. So here I go, and just gently putting in that tiny bit of white acrylic. This I just bought from Where has it gone? WH Smith's, it wasn't a particularly expensive set, but I've used these before, they're quite good. Oh, almost went. Oh, I did go into it. Going to have to clean myself up after I've done this, so tells you how committed I am. Just a few more spots now. Just praying that I don't smudge any of it anywhere. It'd be awful if there was an earthquake right now. Warning, after you actually use these acrylics, make sure you do rinse the paintbrush thoroughly, otherwise it'll just ruin the paintbrush, so just a precaution there. Probably overdone it now with all that acrylic, just going in with this one last time. I'll finish off now, so thanks for watching. I'm just going to do a bit of finalising and then that's it. So thank you for watching, guys, hope this helped you and see you next time.